Hello, welcome to another first rating video. Let's start out with Shadowman 1. When this book came out, I remember flipping through it and it didn't interest me enough for me to go and buy it, so I did not buy this book. In fact, I got this book as a free gift from an eBay seller, I think early last year. There's a few eBay sellers that I bought things over the years that they tend to throw in a few free books here and there. A lot of time is just stuff that is not all that interesting, but I kept a box of free stuff so that I know which one was given as freebies on eBay. And I went through the box, pull out some cool things. I will show a few other cool things in a different video, but I found this one. So the comic god was nice to me once again. As far as Shadowman, the name was kind of original, cool, and the look. I like this shadowy figures on his chest, but that's not the way he looked in the comic books. This is an origin story, which was okay, and he just happened to found a mask, and that's what the mask is wearing. I now that I reread it before I make this video, I understand and see why I did not buy it. It was not all that interesting to me. The character is cool enough. The look is decent. I gave it 3 out of 5, but it's not enough in this first issue to know what his full scope of power. So 3 is more because of the name and the look. I'm not sure what the heck his power is, and I'm pretty sure I would not be buying any of the other issues of Shadowman to find out more on what he is. The art inside was okay. It's a lot like the typical Valiant of the 90s kind of art. So as far as the story, for me, it's a 2.5. Nothing all that interesting. If it didn't interest me. It didn't interest me to buy it back in the 90s, and certainly I'm not gonna give it a high mark today. So overall, a 5.5 out of 10. Okay, as far as the rating of Shadowman. But I think he became fairly popular, if my memory serves right. He was probably one of the better selling Valiant titles through the mid-90s. I could be wrong, but I think he lasts longer than other titles, other characters. Okay. Next up, let's go with the Silver Age book. Dormammu, Dormammu, Dormammu. Say it 3 times. Love the name. This is my low grade copy. I have, I think, two copy of this book. This is they're both low grades. This is one of those, as in many Strange Tales books for a long time, nobody cared, so nobody took care of them. So they all got tossed around in boxes and beat up. This is probably a 3.0. Had a couple big long creases and the spines all dinged up, but we're talking about Dormammu and Clea. I should have reread this before I took it out. I don't believe Clea name was mentioned in this, nor was her relationship to Dormammu. It was revealed in later issues, I believe, that she's a niece of Dormammu, but in this issue she showed up and she was more or less in the background observing Doctor Strange fight the various creatures that Dormammu throw at Doctor Strange. Only at the end, after Doctor Strange defeated those creatures, that she show up and say, "Go home. You should be very worried and be concerned that you're dealing with the dread Dormammu and it's in your best interest to run away. Um, that part is interesting. So the way Stan and Steve like to weave in mystery, just like they did in many of the Spider-Man books. Uh, that's their style, and I like it. It makes the story certainly more intriguing. As far as Dormammu, the look, um, certainly I would. Uh, this is definitely in my. It's a great character, but his look. He didn't have. Once I will give a close-up look to this at the end of the video. Um, he didn't have the cool look that he had later. The costume wasn't all that exciting. It had that weirdness that Steve Ditko tend to give to many of his creation. And for this one, I don't think it worked as well. It certainly the cloud smoky head figure was not as cool as what it became later. So for that, I can only give a 3.5 out of 5 for the look and the name and the power. Certainly, we don't know yet the full scope of his power. Based on this short story, we just know that he's fairly powerful. But there will be much more revealed in future appearances. And then, if he had the cool look that he had later, I would give him 5 out of 5. But because of this look, as of now, as of this issue, I can only give 3.5 out of 5. And as far as the story, the same thing. I give a 3.5 out of 5 because it was good enough that I definitely want to see the return of Dormammu, and then the return of the female character that was introduced in this book that's later known as Clea. So a 7 out of 10 for the first appearances of Dormammu and Clea. Okay. Last but not least is a 10 out of 10. What more can you ask for a book when it comes down to Batman 1? One of the greatest number 1 issue, okay, outside of Action 1. To me, outside of Action 1, as far as number 1 issue, Batman 1 is right up there because it's the first issue for title, as well as introducing, if not one of the greatest villain of all time in all of comic fandom. Okay, that's how much I love the Joker. It's a 10 out of 10. And look at this. Often, the first look of any character is underwhelming. Sometimes it's great, sometimes it's okay. Often it's underwhelming as far as the first time you see the character. But let's look at this crazy looking guy. Insane. And there's a little bit of controversy between Jerry Robinson and Bob Kane as far as who gave the Joker the first look. I'm not going to go into it. You can search on YouTube and watch videos of interviews of Bob Kane and see his view and who get the credits. Bob Kane doesn't come across as very nice in many videos that I watch. But as far as the Joker, right off the bat, you can sense that he is, the golden age Batman prior to the change that DC made to make him not make the book not so dark and violent. This is still the dark and violent, even with the early intro and team up with Robin. But right off the bat, you can sense that the Joker is gonna be mean. Right away he killed off one millionaire. And then he killed off the second millionaire, and then he killed off the third millionaire. So, in a short first 6 pages, he killed off 3 people. I don't think you're gonna see that many other golden age books that has such a violent uh, bad guy, up until this point. But he met up with Batman and got his butt kicked. Overall, typical golden age comic books. Okay, you're looking at a fairly short story, but it still get a 10 out of 10 for me because it introduced such a great villain. Of course, the greatness of this villain is not yet recognized fully yet, but still, for a golden age book and a golden age villain, this is probably one of the few times, if not the first time, where, in my opinion, a villain that was introduced stick as something wonderful, something that have great potential. DC liked the Joker enough that they brought him back for another story in Batman 2. The interesting part about Batman 2, if my memory serves me right, was I think the original story in Batman 2 had him die. Yeah, the Joker was supposed to die. Correct me if I'm wrong for those that know, about this, but if my memories was right, it's a little bit fuzzy. That here you have in issue number 2, once again the Joker tussle with Batman, and right there, he accidentally stabbed himself. Okay, and then he died. As you can see here, Batman and Robin left him for dead. But the comic god must have said something to DC and the creators that they quickly, before the book was published, revise and add the panel down here. I'm sorry, right here, where they show that the Joker didn't die; he just injured himself, so that DC can use him for later. The power at DC at the time must have recognized, I think, did recognize that the Joker had much bigger potential than to kill off. So they, quickly revised it that he only injured himself. But that's it. That's my take on the Joker. 10 out of 10. Love it. One of my favorites for sure. And that's it. If you want to stick around to see the inside of the Strange Tale, stick around. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Bye. Okay, so here is the close-up look of the book. I really enjoy Steve Ditko art for Doctor Strange. I mentioned this many times, and I actually enjoy his work in this series more than Spider-Man. So here's the first time you see ghostly figures of Dormammu, and it looked actually really cool. I like the way Steve Ditko designed this look here, but when he shows up later, it didn't look as cool. That armor look disappeared into this outfit. I wish Steve Ditko kept that kind of metallic armor suit look. And as you can see, the ghostly smoky head that he has. So there you go. And then, as usual, crazy magic action. I had to be careful with this book because it's in low grade. Bad things can happen when you read it raw. And usually Steve Ditko, in my opinion, is not doesn't draw really pretty women, but I think he did a really good job with Clea, even with the crazy hairdo. Look at that. That's nice. And as you can see, she observed Doctor Strange from afar. And only after he defeated the monster and the creatures that Dormammu threw at him, that she show up and tell him to like go away. You no match for Dormammu. She never revealed her name. She did mention in here that her father is somehow related or knew of Dormammu, so we knew that much of her. And that's it. That's the first appearance of Clea, or the person that will be later known as Clea, and Dormammu. And here's my real great copy. Anyhow, that's it. Thanks for watching.